Hey folks, okay, it's that transition time now between fall fishing and ice fishing, and I'm really not doing too much. Actually, I had a terrible season this year. Spring was a bust. Dark water, it was just terrible. Fall was really strange. Fish just weren't coming into the shallows. I don't know what's going on. So I thought I would spend this transition period, making some videos on how I paint up some of the jigs that I use. They're all going to be for sale. I'm hoping to make a website shortly and have them displayed, and they'll be available for you. But I thought I would make some tutorials on some of the more I guess popular patterns that I've been making, that people have been commenting on and asking for ways on doing it. So instead of repeating myself over and over again in Facebook groups, I thought I would just make videos on how to make it, and you guys can go about it at your own pace. And I really hope that these tutorials are useful. I really hope that you subscribe to my page, and actually to my channel, and share, like, comment. We're all here to learn, and it's a fun process, and I really enjoy sharing what I'm doing. So I hope you like these series of tutorials. I've made, I think, 3 now, maybe 4, and I have many more ideas coming up. So stay tuned, watch, enjoy, subscribe, share, do everything. The more that my tutorials get out there, the more people learn, and the more followers I get. I guess that's the aim of the game. Okay, folks. Hope you enjoy. Okay, before I start, I just want to talk a little bit about my setup. For me, I don't need to get too fancy to paint jigs, and you don't need to be honest. Basically, all you typically need is a heat source, like a heat gun. I have here a couple or various different brushes. I have 1-inch wide brush that I use for dusting. I have 1/2-inch brushes, 1/4-inch fan brushes, fine-tune brushes. Just for me, certain jigs need a specific brush, and that's just the way I've always been. So my brushes are probably my most important equipment that I have. I do use a fluid bed. I use the fluid bed just basically to put a base coat on jigs that typically will have 1, maybe 2 colors. It's time consuming, because you gotta make sure the paint is flowing nice, and some paints don't work. Like black is terrible, white is terrible. So you really need to choose the paints that you're going to use, and if you do have to use black, then 9 times out of 10 you're going to have a mess. At least I do. Need set a hemostats or pliers or vice grips, something to hold the jig, because you're going to be putting it up in the heat and using it for painting. So you don't want to hang on to the hook, especially these heavier jigs, these 3/4 ounce. It takes a little bit more heat than a smaller jig, you know, to get that consistency for painting. I use a pair of pliers. I have 1/8" shrink tubing. This is 1-to-1, so it shrinks down tight. I use these over top of the eyes when I'm painting. Some people don't. Some people call them a pain in the ass. For me, I love them because it keeps the eye really clean, and you know it prevents any kind of paint getting inside. That's basically all I have and all I use for making jigs. So when I go into painting the first one, I'll demonstrate on how much heat I use and how I time it and dipping and you know and dusting and things like that. So let's get into it. And the first jig I'm going to be talking about is called the Buck. This one here is named after my fishing buddy Buck. He makes plastic swim baits, and this one here matches the one that he calls the Buck. And I took this out fishing with a group of 4, and this one outfished everyone. It caught the most fish, and I was happy because it was my introduction to walleye in the Detroit River. And that's the first one I'm going to show you how to make. It's a very basic jig. It only has 2 colors. It has a black base color. It's got a chartreuse or bright lime throat. And on the back, it has a combination of copper, red, gold, and silver tinsel. And these colors match what's on the bait called the Buck. And I added chartreuse eyes to it, and it gives it that really nice effect. So that's the first one I'm going to show you. I will be doing this on the rock hound mold that I have, and on a shiner head. All will be 3/4 ounce. So let's get that going, and I'll need to get set up for that. So just give me a second and we'll get that one going. Okay, so I got the fluid bed going, and as you can see, it's volcanoing, it's splattering everywhere. That's what happens when I use black. So now you can see what I mean over here. You see it. So you got to be careful. There's not too much air coming out. Want to clean this up a little bit. Get paint back inside the cup. Okay, so I got the jig on the hemostats. I'm going to be turning on the hot gun. I put it on the low setting, but on the highest heat. The brushes that I use for this one here, I'm going to be using the 1/4" fine brush for doing the chartreuse throat, and the bigger 1/2" brush for sprinkling the glitter on the top at the end. So, as I said, I use shrink tubing, and I will be showing you how to put that on. So, for these 3/4 ounce jigs, I do 5 seconds each side, so 4 times at around 5 seconds. Usually I count as I'm doing it, but because I'm filming and doing a demonstration, I'm not counting, but I can figure out the 5-second piece without counting. Okay, that's about 5 seconds. Give it a little bit on the other sides. And then I put the shrink tubing on, but not all the way down. I leave just a little, about 1/4 inch. And then I put it back in the heat to get that tip nice and soft, and I crimp it. That prevents any paint getting into the eye. And then I dip it, and what I like to do is put the jig up on about a 45-degree angle and just slight taps, just a little bit, to get the paint to fall down on the throat of the jig. I go about a 1/4 to halfway over the back, so I'm covering all that. Slight turn to make sure I'm getting the edges. And that's about it. And then I'll put it back on the heat just for a few seconds to make sure it's nice and melted. Then the glitter, just dip it in, turn it a little bit, get the sides, and that's it. And then I use the pliers to pull off the tubing and back over the heat just for a little second, and that's it. You can see how that glitter just shines nice on top. Basically, the glitter is clear coat, powder paint, and an equal combination of the tinsel or the glitter. I believe that I put in 16 small, what size are those? 1/8, the size of this spoon here, a 1/4. I put, I believe 12 of the 1/4 teaspoon of clear coat and 4 equal parts of the red copper chartreuse and silver glitter. Okay, so that is the the round ball or rock pound jig that I use. The other jig head I really enjoy painting with is the Shiner minnow. I really find that these are really enjoyable to make because of all the different contours and angles and impressions that are on the jig. The paint catches in different parts of it, and it really comes out nice. So I'm gonna do the same process here. So we're gonna go 5 seconds. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's a bit longer with the bigger, heavier lead jigs, but you need that heat inside, or what's going to happen is that the paint's just it's not going to sit nice on the jig. It's not going to melt. But you don't want to go too long, or else you're going to melt the lead, and then that's going to droop down, and then you're going to lose the jig. Again, just a quarter, about an eighth of an inch from the eye, and I keep that. Just an extra step that I do. It's not necessary, but I just dip it in quick, a little swirl, and that's it. Now with the minnow, with the shiner head, I need to lift the jig up a little bit on the hemostat to get the angle that I need. And I'll go a little bit farther with this one because it's a long-bodied jig. But you don't want to go too far. Give that a little blast of feet, and into the tinsel or glitter. Take off that one last blast of heat to get that clear coat nice and melted, and there we go. That is the buck on the shiner minnow. Give this one a go. The buck. Named after my buddy Buck. His name is in the lake. He makes baits. He's out of Windsor, Canada. His baits are awesome. Give him a shout, and I'm sure he'll set you up with incredible baits for you to use in your local waters for walleye. Okay, let's move on to the next one.